Welcome to the Kyle and Jim Fantasy Football Extraordinaire. I'm Jim, and over here on the other side of this screen is Kyle, the other host. How you doing, Kyle?
Doing great. I think that was our best. I think that was the best roll-in intro so far. I didn't hear a sound drop either, so I think maybe we can snap that one and use it.
Good.
We'll see how
Yeah,
it goes.
I try to keep my voice a little deeper and like let it roll. I think I get a real high pitch right away. I think that cuts it out sometimes too. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's weird. We'll see how it turns out. Anyways, yeah, doing good. I was at the Packer game this last weekend. That was fun to watch. Packers spanked the Cardinals pretty hard. It was raining, wet game. First half was kind of uncomfortable, but the sun came out briefly and it dried up in the second half.
I was watching, is it Red Zone? The one where they show like all the big turnovers and everything in the red zone. So I was watching that, and that Packer game got put on like 5 times. Like it was like they put on one game, Packer game came on because there's a turnover. Put on another game, Packer game came on because there's a crazy pass. It just seemed like for 20 minutes it was just nonstop Packer Cardinal highlights of something the Cardinals just messing up or the Packers just doing something crazy. It looked like a fun game. Those are the games that you want to go to.
Packers didn't have any picks this week, shockingly, but they did have 2 fumble recoveries, so still winning that turnover.
Like the guy just like
hard.
dropped the handoff at one of them. He was just like,
yeah, that kind of stuff's harder to see when you're in the stands. Like, the ball got loose, but you don't get the close up like, oh, you can zoom right into the guy's fucking armpit and see if the guy punched it out or what happened. So I don't actually know how the balls came loose, but 2 turnovers is still good.
I think one of them, when it was the rookie running back, I think he just like failed to tuck the ball in. It just fell out, and he's just like, oh shoot, jumps. Packers got it.
Yeah, the Cardinals came out pretty flat. They looked terrible, honestly. They were looking good early this year too. I've been shocked by them the past couple weeks.
They've only had one really good game, and I think the Lions proved if you have a good secondary, they're pretty easy to beat because you drop pretty much everyone in coverage, and then you play spy on Kyler Murray, and he doesn't really have the ability to beat teams with like coverage reads and stuff. So I feel like now that the book's kind of out on that, teams are just dropping and having him try to beat him, and I just don't think he's skilled enough mentally to do that. He needs to develop more as a cerebral passer, just understanding how to go through his progressions. I was talking to my friend, just telling him it's like backyard football. He wants the play to break down as soon as possible so he can run around and throw the ball deep when plays breaks down. If he can get into that position, he does really well. If you don't let him get to that position, which is generally just play a bunch of coverage and then keep like contain on him, he just struggles.
He's been struggling. I wasn't sure if it was just the road and it was fairly cold and rainy. I'm sure he's not used to that kind of shit down in Arizona.
But right. That plays into it too. Not all players play well in elements like that. I mean, rain is a huge detriment, especially if you have small hands. He's a small dude, so if he has smaller hands, that's going to be hard with that ball. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my weekend. Anything exciting happening in your neck of the woods?
Not really. We've just been super busy. We went to go camping, but that got rained out. We were there for a while, but we planned on staying until like 5. I think we left at like 2. That was over by New Zoo. They have like a little campground over there.
Oh, and was it the deforestation camp?
Yeah. Oh, that's what it's called. Yeah, no, that is it. I think
that's
you're right.
By the New Zoo.
Yep, no, that was it. Yeah, deforestation.
Or is it reforestation camp? I don't know what it's called. They had bike trails up there. I used to bike up there sometimes.
Yep, there's a bunch of bike trails.
Okay.
Nice little campground. Yeah, it was really nice because it's fall, so everything was nice and orange, red leaves, so it just looked pretty. We were there for a little while, and then the rain came. I was gonna go disking in Green Bay, but because of the rain, I just sat at the fireplace until it rained, and then we left.
Yeah, rain kind of kills camping, kills the vibes pretty quick.
Right.
Especially if you just got a tent.
We were just visiting, so like everyone else had like campers and stuff. But
okay.
Other than that, not a whole lot. Just watch the Lions and
there's some good football this weekend. On that note, let's get into it. So we had the bet from last week. We just bet who would get more fantasy points, Love or Goff. Pretty straightforward. Love won this one quite easily. He went for 22 of 32, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Goff went for a measly 18 of 25, 315 yards, and 3 touchdowns in a 49-point win. Before leaving the game before it was even over. In shame.
He
So
was
Love wins.
so disappointed he was going to lose to Love that he just said, "Coach, pull me out."
Yep, couldn't do it.
Nope, couldn't do it. No, I feel like Goff had that one. Just the game wasn't competitive anymore. But
You'd think by the
no,
score that he would have, but yeah, he did not. It was too easy to run, I guess.
I mean, we talked about it last week. They're going to do a lot of their damage on the ground. I think Montgomery had 2 touchdowns. I think Gibbs didn't have one, so it was just 2 on the ground.
No.
But how did they get all their touchdowns?
That's 5 right there.
Yeah, that's probably close to what.
Did you have a pick 6 or something, or a special teams touchdown?
No, they got close. So yeah, I think those only touchdowns in the game. So I think else must have been field goals.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. Maybe there's a garbage time touchdown.
Oh, with the backup, there could have been.
I don't think there was though. But yeah, just
So
followed up his perfect game with another perfect game.
18 of 25. That ain't a perfect game.
153.8. He had a better passer rating in this game than he did in the other game. I'll take my Malort. I'm very happy with how Goff performed, and he was the
Yeah, I
better
think the
quarterback.
difference between the scores, I didn't put it down, but I think it was like 0.5. They were actually super close.
That was really good. Goff was number 1 in my heart. That's all that matters. All right, I gotta take this one in my hand.
Enjoy.
I won't. I fucking hate it. Oh, I probably should stop losing these bets.
Yeah.
I thought losing's fun.
So the bet for next week, we just want to do Vikings, Lions.
Yeah, Vikings, Lions.
Okay. I mean, I'll be rooting
Vikings.
against the Lions either way, so if you want to take the Lions side, I'll root for the Vikings this week.
I mean, without Hutch, I don't see that being like a crazy thing to pick. I mean, we'll see how our defense plays. We played well still after he went out against the Cowboys, but that game was already like a huge blowout. So who knows if that was legit. You know, we've talked about the Vikings look good. Defense is great. Jefferson always kills the Lions. I'm kind of hoping for Sam Darnold to reveal his ugly head, go back to his Jet days.
Hutch would have helped with that a lot.
Yeah,
Darnold sit back there and shit his pants over and over.
It was already our thinnest position too, so we don't even have like a legitimate backup because we already lost our other starter for the year in like week 3. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but as always, I will take the Lions to beat the Vikings in a embarrassing defeat for the Vikings as the Lions put up probably like, I'll say 30 to the Vikings 17.
30-17.
Yep.
Well, there you have it. We got our bet for next week. Speaking of bets, we'll go into the faab wager for last week. So the question was, who would be the highest fantasy scoring quarterback of the week? We had a variety of answers. Everyone got it wrong. It wound up being Caleb Williams was the number 1 scorer. I don't think anyone really saw that one coming. But so yeah, no one got money. I will note Baker was number 2 on the week. And just a couple other quick stats on quarterbacks for the year. We're 6 weeks in. Currently, Lamar is the number 1 overall. Baker is number 2, and Jaden Daniels is number 3. If you want to look at touchdowns, Baker's number 1 at 15, and Joe Burrow and our boy Jordan Love, who missed 2 out of the 6 games, are tied at number 2 with 12 touchdowns. So my Jordan Love will lead the league in touchdowns. Is looking pretty good so far.
Oh, I didn't realize that's why you put that in there. Yeah.
At least one of my bold predictions is looking pretty good.
I was gonna give you shit. I'm like, is this a Packer podcast now? Just going back into the Packers game, but no, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's also partially a shout out to Baker. He's doing fucking fantastic this year.
He's developed kind of like how Goff did when Goff went to the Lions. You know, he took a year, and he was a little bit more advanced, I think, than Goff was before he got here. In it's just awareness and how to manipulate a pocket. But he seems like he's improving on that, which he's always been a good passer. He's just never really played as well in the pocket. He's mobile and can get around, but now he's staying there delivering passes, not just trying to break down every time there's a breakdown in coverage and then try to roll it out. I think that's helping a lot. So, yeah, I think it's going to continue with Baker. He's definitely turned his career around.
Yeah, it looked good. Jordan Love's only 3 behind after missing 2 games. He's catching up quick, and he could go the distance. 12 touchdowns,
He's
4 games.
he's kind of in that Favre Stafford mold. You guys had
He's a singer.
Rodgers for a while who can do that stuff, but he's a lot more risk adverse. So now you have
Yeah,
the guy that has that arm, but is willing just to say, fuck it. He's open or someone's down there and he'll just throw it. I mean, he's more Favre than Stafford might have even been. Like some of the throws are just
yeah. I think
okay. I mean, if that
at least 3
works,
of
it
those
works.
touchdowns were just like, whoa, okay, it's a
The
touchdown.
Dobbs
Oh yeah,
one, like I know everyone's going crazy about that, but yeah, he made that. But that was if that defender defends that better, like that's a pick too. Like I don't see it's like a 50-50 ball where he just hopes the receiver turns around. I mean, that's just him trusting Dobbs, so that's part of it. But man, he's got some craziness in him. It's fun to watch.
it
I
is.
enjoy it.
It is. It's a crazy change of pace from what Rodgers. Because Rodgers would get those games where he just like wouldn't throw the goddamn ball because everyone was. It's a good defense and everyone's covering. It's like he would just sit there and wait for Adams to get open. Is kind of annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
This is way more dynamic and all over the goddamn place.
Yeah, dynamic, chaotic. It kind of it's all of
But
it.
but there might be games where he throws 3 interceptions and we get our asses whooped from it.
Yeah, I'm
So
curious to
we'll
see how the
see.
rest of the year goes. I mean, I want to see a uptick in competition. I also just want to see him kind of rein it in because even though we talked about like last week, he had some bad games, and this is a good game, you can still see the recklessness that that just I think it's going to cost them in the future. But we'll see. He can prove me wrong. He's good.
Yeah, hopefully not. Uh, yeah, anyways, yeah, we'll jump into the NFL highlights. We were just talking about Baker, so first highlight of the week, Buccaneers dropped the first 50 burger of the year. They won 52-27 against the Saints. Everyone on the Bucks looked awesome this week, except for Mike Evans, who didn't do anything. I don't know why. Evans can never do anything against the Saints. Just one of those weird matchups. We even had some guy, Sean Tucker, running back for the Bucks, showed up and got a whole shitload of fantasy points. It was a wild one. It was a fun game, high scoring. You like to see it.
That guy I like to bring up every now and then. His name's Matt Waldman, the kind of the
Hmm.
scout guy. He wrote his 10 things column is what he calls it. And it comes out every Tuesday. It's just 10 things about the week. And he'll just talk about not the most exciting things. He was talking about Sean Tucker. And it was because he was telling everyone that Sean Tucker should be someone you should watch out for going into the season. No one else would even talk about this guy because no one even probably knew who he was. But since he goes so deep into prospects, this guy, Sean Tucker, was an undrafted free agent last year. And he actually loved him. He thought he should have been drafted probably like in the 4th round. He was like injured though, but now he's healthy. So that guy could be something. And from Matt Waldman's perspective, he might be the best running back in that backfield after just one game. So I normally trust his evaluation on players.
Yeah, well, with him looking great, and is it Bucky Irving? Bucky or
Bucky
Buck?
Irving, yep.
Yeah, he looked great too. Like, does Rashad White still have a job when he comes back, or it's gonna be a three-person committee back there? What do you think's gonna happen over there?
I mean, teams have certain players on the back of their roster for a reason. So Sean Tucker, maybe he's not as good in pass pro, something like that, and they can't rely on him. But
Sure.
there's no doubt that he looks like the more explosive player, and so does Bucky compared to White. White just he doesn't have the shiftiness those guys have, the ability to just pick through running lanes and just kind of understand the concept of it, where to, cut here, what follow your gap, don't follow your gap. He just kind of always seems to make the wrong choice where the vision on these two just seems to be a lot better and they get a lot more production out of them. So I think most Buccaneer fans want it to change, which typically coaches go the opposite way. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's the history there, so I get it. White seems more like just a receiver. That's kind of been his. That's the only thing he seems to really excel at. I don't know if he was ever a great runner in the first place, to be perfectly honest.
No, his whole thing was that he was more well-rounded. It was kind of we hope he can become a better runner, but yeah, he has everything else he does well, like pass pro, receiving, things like that keep you on the field. And I don't think he fumbles a lot, which a lot of teams,
That's
if you
huge.
don't fumble, you're going to get a start over a guy who's more electric who does fumble. So if Sean Tucker
Yeah,
maybe doesn't have good ball control or doesn't hold the ball well, he might not be someone they want to start long term. So yeah, White might not be as productive, but he's more trustable, and that's what they'll probably go back to.
goes a long ways. Yeah, dependability, factor number one. Next matchup I had for the week, Ravens beat the Commanders in a good matchup. Always fun to watch two good teams go head to head. Ravens won again, led by Derrick Henry. He went for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dude just looks unstoppable this year. I feel like I'm just going to say this every week forever. Mark Andrews also had his first good game of the season. If you drafted him and you actually started him, I don't know if I actually did or not. It was hard to start him at this point in the year. It's 5 weeks in, he's done nothing. But he looked good. Yeah, the Ravens look good. They look like they're probably the best team in the AFC. And they might be the best team in the NFL right now. They've been playing great the last 3 weeks.
I mean, I would say it's between the Ravens, Chiefs, and before the Hutchinson injury, I would have said the Lions, but I think that might knock them down in like their own category at this point. But yeah, the Ravens are just everything's coming together with Derrick Henry. The offense has been unstoppable. The defense is still really good. They're going to be contender this year. Their main issue is getting past the Chiefs, and the Chiefs they kind of just sit there and sandbag all year because they know they're going to make the playoffs, and then they turn it up another notch, and it just seems like that's what you have to worry about in the AFC is are the Chiefs going to be real this year? You can't really take their regular season as to what they're going to be in the playoffs because I think the last
Yeah.
2 years we thought, oh, this is not going to be the year for them, and then all of a sudden, oh, they're back to doing the same stuff they've done the last 4 years prior.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, you almost hope for the Ravens' sake that like Cincinnati takes down Mahomes in the playoffs before they face each other. Because yeah, I mean that's an Achilles heel for them. They just
It's
can't get
everyone's
past them.
Achilles heel. It's the Bills' Achilles heel. It's the
True.
Ravens' Achilles heel. It's just
The Bengals have beat them in the
the Bengals
playoffs
are the one
before,
team. Yeah, Joe Burrow.
and
You know.
and they were close to beating them when they played earlier this year too. So and that was when the Bengals weren't looking that great yet. They're looking way hotter now.
Yeah. No, Joe Burrow definitely has their number for some reason.
That was that one. Next matchup I had the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. They lose again against the Bills this week. Second week in a row, the game ends with an interception thrown at Mike Williams from Aaron Rodgers. Last week, he never turned around. This week, he fell down. Both game-ending picks and games that they could have possibly won. I would say you hate to see it, but I love to see it.
The hate on Rodgers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize Mike Williams was the one that they threw to last week too. That was the interception was on. So I don't know if we have it being talked about later. So I'm not going to say anything yet. But I mean, I guess I should because everyone already probably knows. Yeah,
Yeah,
Devontae
this isn't
Adams
a
has
surprise
now
for anybody.
been on got traded to the Jets. So I'm sure that's somewhat related to Mike Williams. I'm sure it's not directly related. Like they just wanted Adams because he's great and obviously Rodgers knows him.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that means Mike Williams is going to demoted to third or fourth receiver, and then
Yeah.
Adams and Wilson are going to be the two hogs in that offense.
It'll be Adams, Wilson, and Lazard because Rodgers loves Lazard
Yeah.
for some
And
reason.
that's a good spot for Lazard,
That's
though, as like a big three.
yeah.
He can play the slot and just kind of play that like big chain moving slot receiver. He's kind of just like your tight end
Yeah.
at that point.
He's a big dude.
I think that
Yeah.
fits him
It's
better.
almost like a tight end.
Good blocker too, so he can still block.
Yeah,
Almost
exactly.
like a pseudo tight end role. So yeah, I like that. I mean, if that's what's holding them back, it could be. It'd be interesting to see if Rodgers, once he gets his own dude in there that he can trust with every situation, does that make these losses turn into wins? If it does, then they might be sitting here 5-1, 5-2, whatever the record would be right now, if that would have been the case, if they would have had Adams earlier. So they might end up being a scary team because again, there's only a couple plays that stopped them from being 5-2.
Yeah. I mean, outside of week one, I think everyone was a one score game and they had the ball at the end. So
Right.
yeah, they could easily have 3 more wins.
I can't say that
But
Adams wouldn't have turned those games into wins. So that's a smart trade for them.
well, they tried firing their coach, that didn't work. Now they're gonna try trading for Devontae Adams. We'll see if that works for them. If not, they can try the next thing, whatever that might be.
Next thing is moving on from Rodgers. So this is like all in. So
Bench
it
him,
better work.
bench him midseason.
Yep.
Call Zach Wilson up, see what he's up to these days. In the last matchup I had that I found noteworthy, the Eagles, they barely beat the Browns. They had their wide receiver duo back. A win's still a win, but this one did not seem very encouraging. It's the Browns. They look terrible. the Eagles are coming off a bye. You kind of expected more. I expected like a statement game out of them, especially having Brown and Smith back in the lineup. I thought they'd do something to, solidify that, hey, we're still a playoff Super Bowl contending team. And as far as wins go, this one was, from my perspective, I'm less impressed with them now than I was before, even though they got the win. I don't know what you think.
I don't think I was any less impressed with it. I mean, honestly, I watched this game because I have two Eagles, obviously, with Hurts and Barkley, and I just like watching Barkley play. So I naturally just watch their games if the Lions aren't playing. Um, what it comes down to, though, is Hurts. He still had a good game. He made big throws in the right moment. The Browns, though, they have
He
a
didn't
real.
turn it over.
He did turn over, I think, once, right?
No, he didn't
Oh, he
turn it
didn't turn
over.
over. Okay.
First game of the year. So that
He
was
was
an
playing well.
improvement.
They ran him like 14 times, it was a little worrisome, but the Browns defense was the best defense in the league last year, I think, by most metrics. So this is still mostly
True.
intact. This is still that defense. And it was, a bloodbath early. Both defenses kind of shutting down the offenses. Eagles couldn't get the ground game going. And when you can't get the ground game going, you kind of have to, rely on your passing game. Browns have a good secondary. And the Eagles receivers were making plays though. So like they were beating them, but the Browns weren't giving them much more than that. It wasn't like they were getting big plays to really light up the scoreboard. And then there was a blocked um, field goal on what I think is kind of a
That's right.
shitty way to kind of get around the rule because you can't jump over the center, but you can hold the center down and a guy can jump over you over the center or something like that is what happened. And I might be misquoting this.
No, I heard that happened a couple weeks ago too. I
Yeah.
remember seeing a big stink about it, and people were like, "No, it's not illegal. It's not illegal." It's like you jumped over this.
'Cause it's like one of
So
those,
yeah, I know
like,
what you're
things
talking
that's
about.
hidden in the rule book that's like, yeah, if you do it this way, technically you can do it because the rule book says this isn't illegal, but it'll be illegal next year. So, really, they got a blocked field goal with that kind of cheesy maneuver. So, and that ended up being a touchdown for them. So that was a defensive touchdown. And
That's true.
it didn't really look like much of a competitive game. The Browns' offense is just putrid. I don't know how they plan on getting that back into motion the way it's been playing. Maybe hopefully benching Watson for Winston will be the elixir they need, or maybe Nick Chubb coming back in a couple weeks might help. But the offense is just at a loss, and they just traded away Cooper,
Cooper's
so
gone
that's
to the
even
Bills.
going to be a harder offense to move week to week.
That I mean, trading Cooper signals you're not trying this year. I mean, you don't trade away your wide receiver one if you're trying to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. And it also might be hopefully they're trying to get it set up so they can bench Winston. And that's the other thing too is they can't really afford anyone because they have Watson. I mean,
Hmm.
Watson bench Watson, but with Watson's crazy contract, you can't pay everybody, and you already have your defensive end over there on the other side making 20 million a year. So you have that plus your quarterback making 55 million guaranteed a year or whatever it was. So there's a lot of money tied
Yeah,
out. So they have to be budget conscientious moving forward. So yeah, with them already having a bad start to the season, it makes sense to unload a pricey receiver that they probably won't plan on re-signing when his contract is up.
yeah. Then you get some picks that you can actually use
Yeah.
once you're done with this whole Watson situation. That's all I had for NFL in general. Let's see, you had any other matchups that you found noteworthy?
No, nothing here.
Cool. We'll jump into the NFC North talk. So, NFC North, everyone that played won again this week. Not only did they win, but they all pretty much dominated. The Bears went 35-16 against the Jags. The Packers went 34-13 against the Cardinals, and the Lions went 47-9 against the Cowboys.
Yeah, boy.
I hear a lot of talk about, oh, best division of football. It's cool to be in this division. I hate this. I hate it so much. I'm used to the division having a bunch of walkover teams where we get a bunch of free wins every year. I miss the days of old where it's just like, oh, the Bears, yeah, there's 2 free wins. Oh, the Lions, yeah, that's probably 2 free wins. The Vikings, you never knew about them, but yeah, no, people say it's so cool. I don't care for it personally. I don't know about you.
I mean, I would probably rather the Lions be on top with really no competition, but they always
Hmm.
it's this cliche phrase, but it's true in a way. Iron sharpens iron. So all these teams kind of beating each other up throughout the season could be bad for injuries, but I think it also makes all these teams a stronger team. And it really comes down to they're all just well balanced teams. Each team has a solid defense, and some of them have an up and coming offense. I think all of them, but the Lions, can have more of an up and coming offense. And then you have the Lions, who might be the best offense in the league. So you have balanced teams, you have good quarterbacks, and I know we don't have one of like the high profile coaches in our league or in our division. We don't have like a Andy Reid or a Sean McVay, but I would say from top to
Yeah.
bottom, we probably have the best coaching tandem or collection of four head coaches outside of the Bears. Maybe their head coach isn't really that great, but the
I
Packers,
don't like him.
Vikings, and Lions might have three of the top 10 coaches in the league. So
I think Eberflus is a good like defense side coach. And that's why their defense is so good. But we'll see how he progresses that offense.
yeah,
I'm still curious how the Bears will do against good teams because they still haven't played one.
I mean, honestly, I,
So
I kind of feel the way about the Packers and Bears, and the Vikings kind of hit their good teams at the right moment, except for the Texans. So I still want to
that's
see.
true.
I think the most proven team on this list is the Lions, which is kind of funny because they've probably only been really good for maybe 2 years, two
Well,
and a
who'd you
half.
guys play that was good?
Well, I'm saying like our history of the last year and a half before this
Oh, I
being
see
as
what you're saying.
competitive we are, you kind of knew the Lions are going to be good, but like the Packers were kind of
Yeah,
like yeah, if they continue the end of last year, the Bears were like, yeah, if Williams is good, the Vikings don't really expected them to be great. It was like, oh, if they have good quarterback play, they might be, relevant. But it's all ended up becoming like the almost the highest end of each projection. And the Lions were just always expected to
yeah,
be one of the Super Bowl favorites. So yeah, it's just every team's hitting the best outcome of what they can be, I think, right now. And then it's going to be a lot of bloodbath in the division, I think, playing against each other. Whoever kind of squeaks out that 4-2, I think, in the division is going to be the winner of the division. So the division games are going to matter
yeah,
more than they have in years, as you mentioned. You always like those free wins because they're so important. The most important games in the whole season are your division games. So we're going to knock each other's
and
teeth.
unfortunately, Packers are the one team with that division loss in their column so far.
Yep, and that's a
But
huge deal in this division.
it is kind of, yeah, it does really suck. I guess that's really the only like good we played. Yeah, that's the only really good team we played this year. They beat us, not by much though. They barely beat us. They only beat us by like 3 points.
They got a
But
quick start, and then yeah, I think if the game would have played out longer, the Packers eventually would have won it. I think they looked like the better
just
team.
needed one more quarter.
Right.
God damn it.
But unfortunately, the Vikings got up early, and maybe that's why they looked worse in the end because they were able to coast a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, match to match, we had the Bears. They looked really good again this week. Again, they weren't against the best team in the world, but Caleb Williams threw for 4 touchdowns. Swift, their running back, was just shy of 100 yards. He had a touchdown again. Ground game's humming. Air game was humming. Their defense looked good. Like I said, they held them to 16 points. I don't like seeing the Bears look good, but yeah, there it is.
I've been
I don't
talking
know if
about
you watched
them.
that one,
Yeah, I did watch.
the London game.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what Caleb Williams becomes. It's still a game against a very bad defense against a team that I'm pretty sure is going to fire their head coach and their general manager after next week because they're still
yeah,
in London. So everyone's kind of talking. There's no way they can really fire him because they still have a game in London. They can't just like make a crazy change. So I feel like
yeah. They're going back to back. Yeah, that's dumb.
there's a good chance that they fire their head coach and general manager. I think after that game if they lose. So it is hard to say how relevant the Bears' wins are, but a win is a win. Caleb Williams is looking good.
They're
If he's not pressured now, he's starting to show like what made him the number one overall pick. I don't think he's been as quite as good as Jaden Daniels, but again, this isn't about 6 weeks into their career. It's about what's going to be
yeah,
in a couple of years. And Caleb Williams he's got a lot of Pat Mahomes in him. I honestly I think he worries me more than Love, and that would be the two quarterbacks in this
Daniels.
division
Yeah,
I think that are a concern.
Daniels looked good again this week too, and he was playing he's playing the Ravens. That's a good ass team, and they lost, but he kept it together and he played a good game. I mean, as far as Caleb Williams goes, I just don't like that he's I don't like that he's had this schedule because like he's getting confidence now and he's building rapport with his team and like they're winning and yeah, I don't like how it's shaken out. I think their next several games are easy too. I think actually the Commanders might be their next game.
They have the hardest schedule in the NFL moving forward, I know. So, like, they're gonna have some hard matchups coming up.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but the Commanders don't have a good defense, so Caleb can still get a ton of yards.
That's the thing is they have a really good
They got
defense themselves, so they're gonna keep every game
they'll
close.
play the they'll play the Cardinals at some point. Yeah, I mean they're gonna have a lot of easy defenses to go up against yet.
They're gonna be
So
good.
he can keep racking up stats and keep gaining
But,
confidence.
I mean, it still comes down to, I think every team they played that they won against only has 1 win on the season. So they're, like,
Yeah.
collectively, I think, like, 4 and, like, 25 or something. It's like, yeah, they haven't beat quality opponents, but you can only play the teams on your schedule. They've looked good beating the teams, and as they always say, if you're a good team, you beat the bad teams, and you beat them convincingly, and they've done that the last 2 weeks, I think, so
Yeah.
another tough opponent.
Yeah, the next match, we kind of talked about this one. Packers, they beat the Cardinals. It was a rainy game. I was at this one. We had a blast. Packers were up 24-0 at one point in the second quarter. They kind of gave up 10 points right before the half. A touchdown and a field goal. Final score was 34-13 though. Packers pretty much shut them down completely in the second half. They weren't scoring as much either anymore, but Packers did have 2 turnovers go their way. Seemed like a solid game. Defense looked good overall. Offense was pretty good. We pretty much hit most of this one.
Yeah,
Unless you have
I
more you
didn't
want to say
watch that
about it.
one. Like I said, I watched the Eagles game, so I just kinda kept the
Sure.
interest from afar. I didn't think it was gonna be that great of a game. I don't really think the Cardinals are that good. So, game was not close, didn't ever put it on.
I thought they were better than that, but apparently not. And then the last team to play this week was the Lions. They got their revenge for their ineligible receiver fiasco last year when they played the Cowboys, and just absolutely fucking embarrassed them. Yeah, Lions dominated on the ground, through the air. They had 2 picks. Prescott looked terrible. I mean, I feel like the Lions are almost built to beat the Cowboys with their O-line and their running backs, namely Montgomery. Like they just looked unstoppable in that aspect of the game.
Yeah, our strength lines up against their weakness, and the
Yeah,
way to beat the Cowboys. We're probably the best running team in the league versus the team that I don't know if they're the worst rush defense in the league, but they're the team that doesn't wanna see it because that's, like, the way to take away their pass rush. So, like, running on them is so much
and
more
2 of their guys are
effective.
hurt.
Right, so the best way to beat them is running at them because of how their pass rush is so great. If you take that out of the game, they lose a lot of their ability to take over games, and with those guys injured, that probably doesn't help either.
Yeah. So great game. One bad note. I think we talked about this already. Hutch got hurt. Looks like his leg is broken. Probably out for the season. It's a big time injury. If I thought he was the best player on your team. I looked up some stats. So Hutch had 7.5 sacks this year. The rest of the Lions team combined had 7.5 sacks. So he's half of them on his own. He had 17 quarterbacks hits. The rest of the team combined for 24. So, you know, just under half of them on his own again. And he had 30 quarterback pressures. The rest of the team combined for 66. So again, half just under his belt. So he's responsible for so much of their pass rush just on his own. The dude's incredibly talented. He's an opposing player. I wasn't looking forward to facing him, but yeah, you hate to see this as a fan of football.
Yeah, we talked about it, I think, before we started recording, but, every one of those stats you mentioned, he's the first in the NFL on to. So he was leading the NFL
Hmm.
in almost every pass rushing category. Actually, any of them that matter, he was leading the NFL in. He's been incredible this year. He was the early front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. You mentioned how much of his stats compared to our rest of our team. It's almost half of it's him and half of it's the rest of the team, which is just mind-boggling. We do have good pass rushers in the
Hmm.
interior, but obviously Hutch is the main force and main reason that we can play the defense the way we do. They're going to have to do a lot more stunts now. They're going to have to get a lot more creative with their pass rush to try to confuse teams. So we'll see. It's going to be a big project for Aaron Glenn, our defensive coordinator, who kind of gets flack every now and then, who I think is a good defensive coordinator, but this might be his opportunity at head coaching job because if he can manufacture a pass rush off of a bunch of no names and keep the defense running, because the defense has looked actually amazing this year, better than I
Hmm.
expected. That they've been a top 10 unit. You know, obviously everyone's talking about the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings defenses. The Lions are probably right in the same category as those guys, which is crazy to think with how good our offense is. That's why I've been kind of champion them as the or the front runner for the Super Bowl this year because they do have a dominant team. But yeah, you lose Hutch. This is definitely going to put them down a half of a notch or a full notch as a team. Teams are going to be able to start getting closer in leads to them. They're not going to be able to hold leads as well. He's also incredible in run defense, so they're going to have a hard time probably containing some rushing attacks without him. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a team effort. They're going to have to really hope the Ewing theory, where it's like you lose your top player and the team gets better. We got to hope it's one of those situations.
Everyone steps up around
Yeah,
him.
because it's like
Yeah.
having Patrick Ewing retired. Like they actually had a better record without him, and no one ever thought that was going to happen. And same thing kind of
Yeah.
happened with the Lions when we lost Kelvin Johnson. I think Stafford became a better player. So I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think Hutchinson is just that good. I think he's the second best player on the team, but either way, he's one of the best players in the league, and they're going to miss him. And that's the first step to the Lions maybe not making to the Super Bowl right there. That could be the difference in them winning the Super Bowl, losing the Super Bowl, or not making it. So it's a lot of sad fans right now in Detroit.
I believe it. Yeah, when you play the elite teams, you need your elite players. On that note, we're going to cut over to the interview with Jackie for the week. Here she is. Jackie, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Doing good, doing good.
Glad to have you on. Heard you're a long-time listener, first-time caller. So we'll just start with a straightforward life one. You were at the Packer game this last week. I was there. Your dad was there, aka the animal, aka Russ, whatever people like to call him these days. Anything interesting happen? Anything fun?
I mean, it was a rainy start to the day, so that kind of sucked a little bit, but at least it cleared up for us. So it was a fun game to be at. Um, I did lose Kyle's wallet at the game. So thankfully, we were able to get it back. Somebody had turned it in to Lost and Found. So
Yeah,
Damn.
we were walletless for the second quarter onwards.
yeah, my
Russ
dad
was
had to buy
buying
all the
everything
beers.
for us.
At least someone was good enough to return it. That's
I was pretty
saying
happy.
something.
We were both pretty happy. There's like $200 cash in it too. I didn't take anything. Gave the whole shit back.
You
So
got lucky. You found like the one person that's
I know.
probably willing not to steal something.
So props to Green Bay. Good stadium. Good fans down there apparently. Well, Jim, I'll kick it off to you to start this interview proper.
Yeah. So, Jackie, I'll give you the first question here, the real questions, I guess, about fantasy. So, you've made a couple interesting moves this last couple weeks. Obviously, you had Puka, he got injured, I think, what, week one? And then
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, he went down for now 2 weeks. Yeah, but you got a nice pickup in Tyrone Tracy. He's looked fantastic, obviously, for the first two games. You should know, starting him. He looks like kind of one of the bigger steals so far this year in free agency. What did you see or hear that the rest of the league missed? Because I don't think anyone really picked him up or even tried to pick him up.
No, yeah, it was Sunday morning, and I was in a tough spot with not having any running back to play, really. So I kind of scrambled and looked on Sunday morning to see who was available, saw him. I mean, and really, I just kind of I read a little about him, and I was like, all right, Singletary's out, so he should be the number one. So yeah, I was just like, just picked him up and hoped for the best, and luckily it worked out.
There's even some talk that he might become the starter over Singletary. So if that's the case, that's a really good pickup.
Yeah, I did kind of think about that too. Just considering how he's been his first two games. Obviously, he's been doing good. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that pick. I'm glad I didn't listen to Kyle.
Yeah, I believe when you asked me, said, should I pick this guy up? I was like, no, who the fuck is that? Just start Charbonnet. He's
Well, I had Kenneth Walker, and also Charbonnet. So Charbonnet was my only other running back option to put in. And I didn't really want to play two running backs from the same team. I felt like that was kind of stupid. So yeah, that's why I ended up picking up Tracy instead.
Yeah, I think that's a good process. And obviously, it turned out to be even a better pickup than you expected, I think. So you might
Mhm.
now finally have a third running back you can rely on if you need to.
Yeah, that worked out extremely well for you. Perhaps to not listening to my advice, because that would have been terrible. And then Tracy would have been the hot waiver wire pickup. You would have spent a whole bunch of money on him the next Thursday.
Yeah.
He probably would have got over $30, I would guess, or
I
maybe
would
around
think
the
so.
same what Double got, somewhere in there. But yeah, he should have been for more, especially after the second week.
So yeah, Tracy was a great pickup. Your other bold move is 2 weeks in a row now. You've just decided to start 2 tight ends, but you've got 2 wins from it. I can't knock it. I think it's madness. What you gonna keep doing that going forward, or is it just a decision
Well,
of
I honestly that was also me just being in a tough spot of I have no one to play right now. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna throw in Tucker Craft in my flex and we'll hope for the best there and see what happens. And yeah, it worked out. Tucker Craft really didn't do anything this week, unfortunately. So he didn't really help me much this week. But again, I had nobody else to put in. I'm going on slim pickings here.
you got enough. You got the win, so you can't knock the decision.
That's all that matters. And right now, that's why these decisions are important because, you make one wrong decision, you lose the week. So trying to find the right person at the right time, that's all this works.
Every point counts. Every win counts. You got to make the playoffs. After that, you roll the dice and hope you win a few more games.
Right. Yeah. The playoffs can be a lot of luck. So,
But you got to get there. You got to be in it to have the luck even count.
yep.
So, side note to that, you got 2 tight ends. A lot of people don't have any tight ends. You throwing either of those guys in the trading block? You throwing them out there to people, or you want to accept some offers for them?
I really hadn't considered it. So I might if someone wants to throw me a trade and maybe I'll look and see what my options are, but yeah, I haven't looked into that.
I mean, the
Okay.
Raiders guy is that Bowers, and he's looked
Um,
really solid. I think he's like leading the NFL, or he's like in NFL history, he's like the lead for catches this far in a rookie season, right? For a tight end, something like that.
He was early on. I presume he still is because he keeps getting a ton of catches every week. Not
Yeah,
that
he had
many
like another
touchdowns.
7 or 9. It was like 7 for 97 or something. It's like, yeah, he's being used as like a chain mover. He's getting passes at all levels, so he's going to keep probably putting up at least 5 points a game, if not 15. And anything over 5 on a tight end is amazing. So, I mean, that was a pretty good trade with poor boy in the beginning of the year, even though that was kind of a joke trade, I think. What most people thought it was, but it worked out pretty well.
yeah, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was like, well, I'm just kind of gonna roll the dice here and see where this goes.
It did cost her a matchup against Port because Goddard decided to have his one awesome game that week when he played against Jackie.
Yep, that's right.
But
That was last week we talked about that one.
that's the
So he
way
did
trades
he did
go.
get his payback. So Jackie, I saw you picked up Kirk Cousins, even though you had CJ Stroud, who's been looking pretty good this year. Did you actually just want a second quarterback, or did you just, Kyle was gonna pick up a quarterback, probably going to be the only person picking up that quarterback, and you just wanted to give him a good old middle finger? Middle finger? Bleh, I can't talk.
You know what I mean.
Um, yeah, no, I kind of just wanted a backup just in case. And to be honest, I don't even know if we go into week 16 in the league, like as far as the NFL, because that's when CJ Stroud has his bye.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna need someone eventually, possibly.
I didn't know buys went that late. That's
Yeah, I
nuts.
know, that's crazy. Are you sure it's week 16?
Oh, 14, I'm sorry, it's
I mean,
Okay.
14.
Yeah.
that's like the
It's
playoffs. So yeah, that is
yeah.
rough. I didn't realize he had a bye there.
14's no 14 shouldn't be the playoffs. There shouldn't be any buys during the playoffs in fantasy
um,
playoffs.
I mean, that's
Yeah, I
pushing it though.
didn't
I thought week
know.
14 is when they started sometimes. Maybe not in our league.
No, now it's 15, 16, 17 because they go to week 18 because every team
Oh, because
plays
of the
17
bye.
games, then there's
Okay,
a bye. Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay.
I ran into this last year, and that's why I had to redo the whole schedule mid-season. I basically just added one game That's why everyone had to play people twice, and they were all bitching about it.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember that now.
Because I didn't want the playoffs to start week 14 when there were buys, and then I feel like that would have made people more salty than if I added the extra game.
Yeah, no. Having buys in playoffs just does not feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was just a just in case backup pickup. So
I don't think Kyle can complain too much. It worked out okay for him too.
It did. Still curious though. Did you look at my phone while I was sleeping and see how much I bid?
no,
Bid
I
more?
didn't.
Okay.
Did you bid on him? I didn't even look.
Yeah, but I only bid $5. You were way
Oh,
over the top of me. So if you
I
did do
think
that, you could have got away with 6.
I think it was
yeah.
just you two that bid on him too. So
Yeah.
it was a $20 bid by you, I think, or was it 15? And Kyle had 5.
Yeah, I had money to blow, so
All right. Yeah. So you got Kirk Cousins and you got C.J. Stroud now. 2 good-looking quarterbacks. So this season, you started off the season pretty rough. You were 1-2. I recall some fuck fantasy football. This game's stupid. Those kind of comments. But you've come on strong. You had a 3-week winning streak here. You got to be feeling better about your team now. Good wins, some good decisions. You eyeballing that 3rd championship, trying to be the first three-peat.
I mean, that'd be nice if that's how it turns out, but, we've got some pretty good competition. Jim hasn't lost a single game. Um,
Yeah, no one can take that guy down.
right?
Oh,
Somebody has to. One of these weeks it's gonna happen.
Gotta wait for the playoffs. Make it
I've
that
been
week.
close. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Ugh. I'll gladly lose regular season.
Well, you got a chance. Your team does look pretty good. I didn't check this week, but I know last week you were number 2 in scoring under Jim. There was a bit of a gap in between, but you were number 2.
I think she's still number 2.
Is she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a
Nice.
good team. You got a shot at it.
Yeah, that would be great. It'd be a good turnaround because yeah, things were not looking great at the beginning.
As we did talk about is that, the first couple weeks of the season, they're always crazy. Teams are still adjusting. There's less practice now going into the first 2 weeks of the season. So these teams are just not ready. Now you're starting to see them come together. Players are starting to know who's playing next to them, understanding it. So now the play of the football is getting better and better. And then I think it's becoming easier to predict for us, fortunately. Otherwise, yeah, in the beginning of the year, it's kind of rough when crazy people go off for big scores and no one knows what's going on yet.
Yeah. You don't know who to pick up, who to drop. You have such a small sample size.
Yep. You don't get too many choices. So I have one more question for you, though, Jackie. I think you're the first 2-time champion, too, right?
Heaves
Aside
was.
from
Oh, Heaves
Heaves,
was.
yes.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's right. Heaves had 2
Well,
in the
he's not
first
in the
4.
league anymore, so
So he doesn't
Yeah.
count. Okay, so you're the first 2-time champ by all intents and purposes for this league. Um, do you have a lot of good memories then? So what was your favorite moment in fantasy football so far, or at least in this league?
Um, I can't say that I have a particular favorite moment. Just it's just fun to be in it with everyone and all of our friends, really. All of it's fun. So, I don't have one particular moment that really stands out to me. I mean, winning is always great, but
It's always a good thing.
You've done it more than most, apparently.
Yeah,
hopefully for a third time.
I'll have something to say about that.
Mm, we'll see.
I think you've beat me once in the finals. I know you beat Vicky, right? Who did you beat
I
in your
think
finals?
I think so.
I thought we
I
played one
beat
year.
I beat Vicky last year.
Yep. So maybe you
That's all
played
I
me.
remember.
I know I've lost in the finals in the league once, and
Didn't
then
you
I've
play
won it
Ashley
once.
once?
I
Yeah, I don't
no
know.
idea.
I could probably look back. And actually check these things, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that another time. We'll do
I
like
do
a
it more for
recap,
the
a
other
past
league.
recap someday.
You
there you
can.
go.
You can actually look at the app and it can give you like your overall win total for your whole like time in the
hmm
league. So it'd be cool to see some of those statistics.
The only problem with that is a lot of these teams have switched owners. Not a lot, but a few of them have switched owners over the years.
You'd have like the best one because yours says Hebner on it. So do you have Hebes's team from the first 2 championships?
Me?
Yeah.
No, it says Heebs on my team because Heebs wanted to see the league. so I invited him to be a co-manager in my team.
Oh, okay.
So that way he can actually. There's no way to add like a spectator to the league, so the only way I could invite him was to have him be a co-manager of someone's team.
Gotcha.
I
Oh, that
figured
makes
it's
sense.
easiest to do it on my team. I thought about putting
Yeah.
him on Mike's, but I didn't. Whatever, didn't really matter. I told him not to spend my money or make trades or do anything.
Just accept crazy trades.
Yeah. That's about all we got. Any other parting words, Jackie? Any care to throw any shade at any of your opponents?
Yeah, nothing really in particular. Just good luck to everyone through the rest of the season. And Jim, I'm coming for you.
I mean, I should be coming for you, right? You are the champion. So you're already talking like you don't have this one. It's mine.
Good luck to everyone. You're supposed to say, Lee, you fucking suck for playing this week. You don't have a chance.
No, I'm happy Lee finally won another one.
Hey, 1-2.
Good for him.
Back to back.
He's putting up a lot of points lately because he lost to me.
Yeah.
He was like the number 2 point total that week. And then he's won, I think, the next 2 weeks. So he's been kind of on fire lately. So he might actually have a good team.
Joe Mixon's back, and he looked awesome on his first week back.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Can't go wrong with that. 30 points. I think another week of 30 since he's been starting. His 2 starting weeks were 30.
Jackie's parting words are good luck to everybody. So
Oh my
good
God.
luck to everybody. Thanks for joining us, Jackie. Was a pleasure. I'll talk to you in an hour or so when we're done recording.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're all
Sounds
having
good.
fun.
Thanks, guys.
And that'll wrap up the first half of the show. Thanks for listening, and tune in for the second half. Bye now.